So thanks for joining us on another one of these videos. I think you may have seen the one with Rebecca Cline last week where Rebecca talked a little bit to us. And now we're going to talk a little bit to her sister, Sarah. Sarah has been close to our family for a long time, and Sarah and I have been having some conversations in recent weeks and even months. And I thought it'd be good for us to kind of share a little conversation with y'all that Sarah and I had. So Sarah, one of the things that we've been talking about, you said you feel nothing, and kind of what is the point mindset that you've kind of found yourself in for the last little bit. Can you kind of elaborate on that and kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah, so I feel like I've kind of been in an apathetic, feel nothing, don't care spot for like a year maybe, or maybe more. And like I talked last time you had me talk, I talked about how 2018 was like a really hard year with some personal struggles and relationships and just like sin in my life and believing lies. And God definitely delivered me from that situation and rescued me from it and kind of brought me through it better than I could have hoped. Like that could have happened. And so then I think when he did that for me, like I knew like all these people were praying for me. I was praying all the time about this situation. And I thought like, okay, once that gets better, I'm going to feel better and I'm going to like want to be in community and I'm going to want to read my Bible and pray and like be engaged with God and just like get back to where I feel like I should have been. And I think for a while it got a little bit better, like after, like that situation kind of resolved or whatever. But then I think I fell into a place of like being really busy and being apathetic and being really comfortable with where I was. And I think that that's where I am right now. And that's where I've been, is like, I'm living really selfishly and really comfortable. And like, I don't want to do things I don't want to do. And I want to do what I want to do. And it's just like a really selfish mindset I've been in. And yeah, I think that like, I feel like it's easy and fun to live for your own comfort and just to do whatever you want to do. But it's actually been pretty lonely and leaves me feeling really empty. So, but I don't think I really noticed it honestly until you asked me that question a few days ago.
That's interesting. We were talking before we hit record on this, we were talking about you kind of feeling a bit lonely and isolated. You're a single girl who lives in a home alone. Does that sort of like your current situation sort of add to that isolation to you?
Yeah, I think so, for sure. And I think when you live in this, like that type of environment where you're alone and like, I don't really see a lot of people, especially now, I see nobody. So it's like really easy to not engage with people and to just like literally like just watch Netflix all day and then like, do whatever by myself. And I feel like I'm like, oh yeah, like I'm just going to watch TV and relax. But like not engaging with people and being alone, it is really like, it leaves your heart lonely, I guess. Like I don't feel like sad or whatever, like I'm fine sometimes with just like being by myself. But I think that like my heart is lonely, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I want to take just a second to talk to the people that are watching this video. The likelihood is Sarah, or someone like Sarah who lives alone, and just understand that this is a stress and a pressure on them that we don't know. I've got a family I've got 3 kids and a wife who, so I've got personal interaction with other human beings that you don't get a lot of chance to have. I've pledged to be praying for you, Sarah, in the midst of this, that sort of personal isolation you sense. But I also want to encourage people that are watching this to pray for the people that they know that are single and living alone. This is an important time for us because I think you may be able to speak to this as well. This isn't someplace that I had thought about going, but I think a lot of times the church leaves single people behind. You know, we have married ministries, we have couples ministries, we have stuff for people with kids and that sort of thing, but we don't spend a lot of energy trying to minister to the single people. But I think that's a kind of a flaw in the church, and maybe even a flaw with our church as well. So have you, I don't know if you have anything to say about that or not, but have you sensed that, generally speaking?
I feel like it's something that happens not just in church. Like it's not, I feel like it's not like a specific church flaw. I mean, I guess in a sense it would be, but I feel like it's like a general thing that happens just in life, because you relate to people based on like where you were at in life, and there's not a ton of people my age that are single. So it's like it's hard to relate to people or have the same struggles or frustrations or like, you know, complaints. That's not all you bond with people over is bad stuff, but a lot of times that's kind of what happens, or like, you know, what's going on in your life. So I think it's just like a life thing, but it definitely bleeds to church too, I think, like anything would.
Cool. So I have another question for you. When I asked you to do this video, your initial reaction was, I really don't want to do this. And then you kind of came back later and said, let me read this directly, that I want, you said, I think I would want someone to hear what I was going through that might be going through the same thing. Essentially, if someone's going through the stuff that you're going through, you would want to hear about somebody going through the things that you're going through, essentially, and you changed your mind and decided to do this video. What did you mean when you said that, and what's the thought behind you saying it?
Well, I think the first thing you asked me was, would you be willing to share what God has done in your life in the last year? And I was kind of like, I literally, in my head, I was like, I absolutely have nothing to say. I feel like I said, I feel like I have felt nothing over the past year. I feel like God and I are like mutually giving each other the silent treatment. Like, I don't know. That's just like, that's something that I feel in my head. And so I just like thought it would be pointless to have a talk with you, because I'm like, I'm either going to have to make something up and it's going to be fake, or I'm just going to sit there in silence. But then when you came back and asked me if I would be willing to share how I'm feeling about feeling nothing, I was like, well, I can't really say I don't have anything to say, because I already said I feel nothing. So, and then I think part of my problem in this point I'm at in life is feeling like I'm the only one that's here. Even though I know I'm not, sometimes like the heart lonely thing, like in your heart, you feel like you're the only one that's in this situation. And like over the past year, the only time I feel like I've really felt a tug from God, or like feeling something a spiritual connection, is when someone's shared something that I related to that's hard to share. And you're like, okay, well, I guess I'm not the only one. And when you feel like you're the only one and you're not sharing how you feel, it's really easy to stay in that place and to like go further into this like black pit of like feeling nothing, because you feel like you're the only one. So it pushes you further. So if I was like, okay, I guess if anyone's feeling like this and I say I am and they can relate to it, that's something I need to hear. So maybe somebody else who's feeling the same thing would feel it too.
I want to press in there a little bit, because I think you're getting at some important things. So I think, generally speaking, and you've said this before, that you feel like you're the older brother a lot of times, who counts the things that they've done right and have lived a good life. You're a pastor's kid and, you know, a good little church girl and all those things. But I think that the people that live in that mindset, that tend to be the older brother, or that feel that like they may be on the religious side of things, like a good little girl, when you feel dead in those times, you kind of internalize that, like, I'm doing something wrong. There's something wrong with me. I need to do better. I need to try harder. I need to, it's me that's in error in doing something wrong. And then that just perpetuates itself and continues to move on. feel like that's true?
Oh, 100%. Because, I mean, we've talked about this too. Like, you finally realize, like, when I finally feel like I realized I was an older brother and realized what grace was, and like realized that, you know, my sin in that time, you can't see it. It's like all in here, like I'm, you know, and that's harder to recognize or realize or whatever. So then when you're in a place where, like, there I was feeling good about myself when I shouldn't have been, and so then flip to feeling bad about myself, it's the same thing. I want to hide it or act like it's not there, or tell people what they want to hear, so that way I don't have to, once again, it's internal, so I don't have to say it. Like, people aren't going to see it. I have to say it out loud. And just the same way I don't want to say out loud that I'm bad, or like that I'm not a good church girl or whatever, I don't want to say that I'm struggling either.
That's really good. And I think that's going to be really valuable for somebody that's listening to this. And when we get done, I'm going to be praying for whoever those people are. One last question for you, maybe some follow-ups, but one last main question here. This is something that I've said to you before. I think you have this head knowledge that you have a relationship with Jesus Christ, and like you could preach a sermon on the gospel, you could preach a sermon on that because you have a relationship with Jesus Christ and because he died and resurrected on the cross, it has nothing to do with you, and your relationship with God has everything to do with what Christ has already accomplished. Like you fully understand that. You couldn't understand that better. Like you've got a good handle on that. But I think that a lot of times for Sarah in particular, and for a lot of people that are like you, that head knowledge doesn't make its way down into like a practical knowledge. Like we tend to feel unwelcome because of the sin that's in our lives. We feel unwelcome because of the dry season, or we feel like there's something wrong with us because we don't have a hunger for Jesus. And I think like when we were talking before this video, you kind of resounded with that, but talk for just a little bit about like what that idea says and speaks to you.
Yeah, so I always go back to Super Summer in high school when I went with the like first round of interns. I guess I don't know if they were the first round, but like Rebecca, Joey, Chad, all of them. And like that summer was when I finally realized that I was an older brother and realized that salvation and relationship with Jesus has absolutely nothing to do with me. And like, I mean, even where I live, where I grew up, my parents, like it's all grace. Like the only reason why I ever can understand anything about Jesus at all is because of him giving that to me and allowing me to have it. And so like, and I still remember sitting in the pew when the Holy Spirit finally like, I guess you would say revealed that to me. And I finally, by his grace, understood what that meant. And I remember feeling that. And in that moment, it felt like I didn't just feel it in my, or know it in my head. Like I felt that in my heart. And I finally feel like Jesus was connecting with me, or, you know, through finally after like years of being told the same thing, it finally clicks for you. But I think I still, because that's my default is myself and like what I can do to fix things, I'm reverting back to my default. And then I have to remind myself the same way that Jesus opened my eyes to realize like all of that, he's the only one that can get me through a dry patch. Like it's nothing I can do. And I think me feeling like it's something I can do is making it harder for me to let Jesus work in me and like bring me through it, because I'm still like fighting myself, I guess, if that's how you want to, I should say it. But then, you know, and then it makes me, when I feel like I want to do it myself, then I'm running from community, I'm running from God. I don't want to talk to you about what God's done in my life in the last year, because I selfishly don't want to admit that I felt like there was nothing going on, because I feel like maybe I was reverting it back to myself, like I did something wrong, that's why nothing's happening.
Yeah, that's great. So I want to kind of wrap this up just talking to you for a second. And when I'm talking to you, I want people that may be watching this to understand that I may be talking to them as well. But I feel like, and I've said this to you before, but I'm going to say it to you, computer screen to computer screen, uh, that I feel like you are special, and that you have, God has something really important in your world in front of you, and this dry season is usable for him, and it's part of the plan that he has for you, and part of the sovereignty that he has for you is to go through this dry season with you, and at the end of it, you'll feel a deeper intimacy, a deeper connection with who he is, and you're like, and when I say you're special, like I think we're all special, and I don't mean to get like, you know, the end of some cheeseball movie sort of sappy stuff, but like the you're like, you're very intelligent, and you, like, you have a deeply caring heart, and the way you can articulate the gospel, and just the way that you're able to feel deeply, I think are all incredible values, and I think that older brothers tend to have those sorts of things that and I just encourage you to lean into this dry season, and lean into even your older brotherness, because God has designed you with that in you, and God has something very specific and very special for you to accomplish in your life, and most of that doesn't have to do with uh, like success. Like, God has something important for you to do. God has something important for you to do. That's true, but in the midst of it, God is, the important thing that he has to do with you is on your own heart and in your own life, and showing you the value of who he is. And so I just, my prayer for you is you would lean into to this dry season, and taste and see that the Lord is good. Thanks, Sarah, for spending some time with us, and being willing to be open and honest with us and the people that will watch this. You're great.
Thanks for always making me feel comfortable, to be honest.
You got it. See you later.
Bye.